Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of my old paper computer games where I talk about my old paper computer games and show them to you. Today we are going to talk about a pretty dark one, for me anyway. This is called Descent. And this continues from the series of Pierre's adventures that was, started in the very first video of this series. Oh, and yeah, by the way, I'm using a new thing, so you're gonna see this here, ad banner. That's kind of necessary. Yeah. So sorry about that. But anyway, it'll pop up every now and again. So anyway, so Descent is kind of an interesting game. Like I said, it continues from the two Pierre adventures we saw in the beginning, and then at the end of those, Pierre and Ari had crash landed on the planet of Shri. Ari and Pierre were separated, and then Ari went off on his own series of games. That was the Squids and Forests games I talked about in, another of my videos. Most recently, the last video was Fried Calamari, was part of that. So that's what Ari's doing. This game is what Pierre's doing at the same time, still on the planet Shri. But it's, sort of very different from Ari's adventures. Yeah, last we saw Pierre, she was walking down the road towards the city, and they were separated. And so this game starts off, with Pierre. She doesn't remember what happened. She just remembers walking towards the city and then blacking out. And the game starts here. So this is Pierre. Wrapped around her is her necklace. This is the necklace she's had for the previous few games with a seashell at the end of it, but now its chain is kind of spiky and wrapped around her body, but that kind of that feels okay. She's not upset by that. It's just it's like somebody's protecting her or something. And so, she can kind of explore this area. Over here, there's it's Ari, and he's playing video games, but his face is blank. He won't respond to anything she says. If she waves her hand in front of his face, nothing. She can't, even if she unplugs the video game controller, he still just keeps pressing buttons as if nothing happened. Over here, this is Zubak. You'll recognize him from the previous videos. He is a robotic clown on a stick. He's been, a friend and ally of the main group of adventurers, all the way back, going back to Chris's, early games. And most recently, we saw Pierre was teaming up with Zubak, and she stuffed him inside an item box, because she, upon the player, playing this character, she hated Zubak. She wanted to get rid of him. So, there was an item box, and the item box, when you can put any item in it, and it'll automatically teleport it to whatever the next PCG is. She just, she didn't even know what the box did. She stuffed Zubak inside it, and she disappeared. The next game happened to be The Last of the Zerelta, which was a prequel game that takes place 1,000 years ago. So the item box transported Zubak 1,000 years back in time. So that is the last we saw Zubak. But anyway, so Zubak is over here, and he is also not responding to what she says. So she just kind of goes up to him, and his eyes open, and she wakes up. That was a dream. So this is the first sight she sees upon waking up. Bam! This guy's face, in her face. This is like a mask, like a ceremonial mask. And she wakes up, and over here is, this is a big, sort of, I guess it's sort of shaped like a gear, but, in the middle is, a giant spoke. Well, these are really, grooves carved in the surface of it. And, here is Pierre tied down in the middle of this, and these are, cultists standing all around. They all have robes, they all have knives, and here is like the guy who, you know, had this mask on, and he has like a you know, ceremonial staff or whatever. And you know, these people, like, it becomes pretty quickly clear that these people want to sacrifice Pierre, and you know, when they kill her, you know, with knives, her blood will run down all these different like grooves, and it will spread out, like it'll run down like grooves all, you know, along these spokes, go onto the floor, and then conveniently there's a drain over here on the floor. So, you know, Pierre has to escape this situation, obviously. And this is one of the more annoying screens in the game. I mean, like I put it in there because it is, you know, enhances the sense of creepiness, and it, you know, it builds this, you know, world. But at the same time, like, the process of escaping is the most improbable part of this game. You have to, like, you know, right as like this guy comes up to you, you have to like coax him into, you know, getting close. Then you kick his staff out of his hand, use it to break one of the ropes, and then you have to deal with each one of these guys in turn. This is what, like, everyone who played the game had the most trouble with. You know, the people who played, you know, the people who gave up on this game gave up on this screen. Like, people usually don't get past this. So yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to mention about this game. A lot of people have tried playing it, and this game is sort of like a test. Like, it's sort of like, I don't really want to say a test of character, because what you do in the game is not really how you respond in real life. But, you know, this game does test your morality, in a sense. It tests your, like it kind of asks, like, how quickly are you gonna turn dark and, like, start doing evil things? And, you know, some people, you know, it's really funny how surprisingly fast they turn evil. Some people, it's like, not, you know, no, you know what? Everyone does in this game, but, you know, it takes different amounts of time. Like, no one has yet played this game and, like, been a good person all the way through. It just does not happen. But in any event, so, you know, once you escape, get out of the bonds, and, you know, knock out or kill all of these guys, whatever you want to do, you can find a key on one of them, and you can get out of the door there. Then, like, as soon as you get out the door, like, you have another, like, flash, another, like, dream. All of a sudden, you're, like, on the beach, and, like, you know, there's sunbathers, there's, like, but then over there in the distance, there's something shiny, and you go towards it, and, like, something monstrous is over here. And that's the end of the dream. And, you know, I will just say, I don't pay off these dreams. I meant to, of course, but when I ended up finishing the game, I just forgot to put anything in about that. I was like, oh, you know, like, but so yeah, this game is not, in my opinion, it's not as well organized as Fried Calamari, but I do like some of the story stuff that came out of it. But in any event, so this is kind of an aerial view. You, like, after she came out of that room, she finds herself in, you know, this is kind of like the central hub of the facility. You can go any direction you like, down here, here. This is blocked off by an electronic door. Over here, there's a guy, like, he's another one of the cultists, and he is, you know, sort of guarding these, like, control panels. And there's 2 more control panels over here. This one has 1 button. This one has 4 buttons. This one has 2 buttons. And depending on which way you go, you know, there's rooms to explore. So, and, like, this guy, you can fool him if you're wearing one of the robes like if you take one of the robes off the cultist, you can fool him into thinking you're one of the cultists, and so he won't give you any trouble. Otherwise, you have to like knock him out, whatever. So, if you go up this way, you come to this room. And over here is the computer room. And there's a plaque over here, and the plaque says, like, do not speak to the demon, do not believe its lies, it is chained, it has no more power. And, that plaque was put there by the cultists. And this computer, as soon as you walk in, says, hello, Pierre. And it recognizes Pierre and says that, like these vile cultists have chained me. I used to be the main computer of this facility, but then these vile cultists have taken it over and restricted my access. I no longer have any control over any of the systems. So, but the computer is able to give Pierre back some of her inventory that she had from the previous 2 games, including the necklace. The necklace that we saw in the dream, immediately, like, Pierre feels really good to get it back, and it's like, and it feels hungry. And, immediately everyone playing this asks, well, what does that mean? I don't know, like, you just get that feeling. So the computer tells her, to try and find a way to escape and alert the authorities to get help. This computer is kind of vague. Also, you will notice that there's a symbol on Pierre's back that matches the symbol on the symbols on the computers. And that is, will be explained later. So, we have to go back to this place. The computer wasn't really able to do that much for us. If we go, let's see. I think the next place to go, let's see. If you try going this way, you come to here. This is like you're standing at the bottom, and like there's a bunch of like dead bodies of people who tried to like, escape, but they couldn't, because up here there's a grate and there's like sunlight coming down, but there's no way out. So, nowhere to go here. Just have to go back. Then if you go down here, you come to the kitchen. There's not much in here. There's just like, there's a symbol which looks suspiciously like Umbrella from Resident Evil, but like, I was trying to make it different, but it came out pretty much the same. But anyway, we have some bread and we have some honey in here, and there's also some chairs, as you can see, and that's basically what's important. So for now, so we'll go back here, and if you go down here, there was actually this passage leads to the kitchen, and this passage leads to this room. I'm sorry, it's been a while. So this is kind of a prayer room. There's pillows around the floor. There's like, candles and incense, and there's a statue. There's like a jar for donations. Not donations, but tithing. And what's important here is the prayer book. And the prayer book, it contains a hint as to, how to escape from this place. But I won't, get into it. But suffice it to say, it's like, the hint is kind of like, well, maybe I will read it to you. Why not? Okay, here's what the prayer book says. Pecos admits some to the Scarlet Heaven. There are only 4 paths followed by men in life, and among those, few will stick to their path. The first are those who reject Pecos the Lost. These he shall never admit, and they shall forever keep that title. The second are those devoted to Pecos and none other. These are guaranteed entrance, if they are true. Third are those who proclaim love for Pecos, but in their hearts betray. Hypocrites whose actions show their disdain shall be left, betrayed, to rot in their sin. Fourth are those misguided fools who worship Pecos along the other old gods. They are deceived, for Pecos is the one light, the one truth. But Pecos is merciful to the idiot, the poor soul whose heart shines and whose mind declines. A few of these misguided fools will be admitted if they are judged worthy. And this is an elaborate way of explaining which buttons to press in this order, and that's why I highlighted the word stick. They will stick to their path because you have to use honey to hold down the buttons. Because like in practice, when you try pushing these buttons, they don't stay down. You have to use something to hold them down. Sometimes people have never didn't really figure that out and found another creative way to get the buttons to stay down. Like they put they leaned, they knocked this guy out and leaned him against it or whatever. In any event, if you go down this way, you come to this prisoner's room. So this is an interesting place. Well, there's nothing interesting in here. This is just a rope on the ground. Over here, these are some prisoners of the cultists. So this guy is, his name is Zunto, and he's a loyal Croden soldier. Now, this is when it gets into a little bit of the backstory of the planet Shree. We talked about this in one of my earlier videos about how King Ginkis was the ruler of the Zerelta people. He was overthrown by the Croden, who became the rulers of this planet for the past 1,000 years, and they're basically a tyrannical, evil regime. So he is a loyal soldier of the Croden. He's really loyal. He is oh my god, Croden. So when Pierre comes in, he's like, please, are you with the Croden? Are you loyal to the Croden? So that's immediately how do you respond? If you say no, or who are they, he's gonna be like, oh my god, I want to take you into the authorities. But, he's tied up himself, so he's not really in a position to do that. So then it becomes a decision of do you untie these people? They're, they could be sacrificed themselves. So, already here's a moral decision. This woman over here, her name is Modri, and she is part of the Zerelta, the people, the King Ginkis' people. Well, King Ginkis hasn't been around for 1,000 years now, but some of her people still survive as an underground. They're pretending to be loyal Croden citizens, but they're still kind of in their hearts, they're, they still consider themselves the Zerelta. But she doesn't want to say that because this guy's sitting right here, and if he finds out, her life will be over. She will be summarily, tortured and executed for being Zerelta. This guy over here, this little alien thing, that is a fig. I call them figs. And this is the first, proper introduction of figs in PCGs, I think. So, the figs are, they are really self-hating. Really self-hating. You ask him what is his name. Oh, figs do not deserve to have names. If you tell him, why he was imprisoned here, he says, oh, figs do not deserve freedom. The figs just pretty much don't think they deserve anything, including life itself. If you ask them to sacrifice themselves, they gladly will, because they do not think they deserve, even life. So for that reason, they're kind of designed to be annoying, because they did, some people had a little sympathy for them at first, but then they get annoyed at them, and it's kind of tempting to kill them, because they want it. So you're should you really feel bad about it? Well, that's how people think. But at the same time, these are innocent creatures. They're not doing anything wrong. So but you'll see what tempts you to. Well, anyway, so Pierre, like who is the original player of this, Palm, that is, she untied these people, and she they come with her, and it sort of becomes like there's sort of like this tension because Modri does not want to reveal that she's really with the Resistance, unless and until Zunto is out of the way. The other thing is, Zunto kind of like, he likes her and he like is kind of interested in her, but like he thinks she's a loyal Croatan citizen, and so like she's just kind of like uncomfortable with the whole thing. It's like I mean, like, that's cool and all, but like, I could get killed, So anyway, that's kind of the dynamic that these people follow along with Pierre after this room. So we go back to this, central hub area, and let's see. So from there, like, the next thing to figure out is, how the order to do this. I don't remember the exact order, but I think you have to like press one, stick it down with honey. Press this button, then like the second and the fourth one, and then just like only the second, something like that. When you do that, it opens this electronic door. When you open that electronic door, you get goodies. A weapons room. This is upside down. You get a weapons room. This is kind of a first-person perspective. These are all just like pegs to hang things. I don't know why I felt the need to draw those, but here's just like a bunch of daggers, bunch of spears, bunch of like whirly blades, and you can just take them. And that's this whole room. So, like, yeah, this is kind of like, I mean, you can use them to escape from here, but, like, this is also giving you ample opportunity to be able to, kill more things later. Like, this game really wants to turn you evil. Like, this is a character test. So anyway, the solution to this, you have to go, back up here. You go into this room, where there's the thing up here, and you have to make a ladder up to this grate. To make the ladder, you have to use these 4 spears. These can be the legs of the ladder. And then as rungs, you can use, like, you can take apart the chairs and use their legs, and that's going to give you enough wood. You can use, like, knives or whatever or like rope to fasten these things together, because they're, Pierre did find rope in the prayer room. No, in the prisoner room. So, yeah. That is how you are supposed to escape. And then, huzzah, escape at last. You emerge free right in the middle of the city. And, yeah, all is good in the world. You just kind of come up through one of these, like, street grates. Like, the perspective is kind of off, but, so you come up, and there's people around. I didn't draw them, but they are supposedly around. And, they're kind of looking at you askance, like, kind of weird, so you can't really, talk to them. And, the whole group, Pierre and, friends or whatever, feel drawn towards this here building. By the way, here's a Croatan airship, flying in the background. In the last game, like, Fried Calamari, not the last game, but, in Ari's series, we saw one of those crashed, the same kind of ship. But, anyway. So, the whole group finds themselves drawn towards this here building. This is called the Tower of N, which, you may be able to tell, because, it's got a big N on top of it, and it's got a whole bunch of little N's. So, they all kind of wander towards it, and then when they go inside, when they go inside, at first it is a dark room, like just pitch black. Pierre loses sight of Modri and Zunto and the Fig, and, is just feeling around. The walls are all the same, and then until she feels like a familiar metal shaft. And then the lights come on. It's Zubak. But as you can see, his face is not as friendly as it usually is. He's like, hello, Pierre. Well, it's good to see you. She's like, same. And Zubak's like, kind of like, well, you abandoned me here on this planet, like, left me 1,000 years in the past. He explains that since he was left 1,000 years in the past, he has been taken, by the evil Croden regime. I mean, when like we last saw in the last of the Zerelta, the game that takes place 1,000 years in the past, Zubak, was teleported back in time and teams up with Ginkus. And when that happens, Ginkus, Ginkus went on to seal off his tower in a stasis field, but Zubak was left behind, and he was found by the Croden, and they reprogrammed him for their purposes. And Zubak says, "But don't worry, I'm not resentful. In fact, I'm happy you've led me to my true calling in life." And apparently for the past 1,000 years, Zubak has been doing the evil bidding of the Croden, including, torture, including, whatever, it doesn't matter. And, all their evil stuff. So Pierre's like, oh my god. So, Zubak, explains, that, Pierre is, the reason, I don't know why I didn't draw it in this screen, but the reason that we saw on the other screen, Pierre has a mark on the back of her neck, or on the back of her back, wherever it was. Mark on the back of her back. The reason for that is because Pierre is, one of Zubak's favorites. She is actually part of one of his programs. She didn't know that, but, since Zubak has been working for the Croden for the past 1,000 years now, as soon as Pierre landed on this planet, Zubak knew about it, of course, and, she was knocked out and something was done to her. That's before the cultists got a hold of her. See, the cultists, Zubak explains, believe that what Zubak is doing to people, transforming them into something, doing something to them genetically, is evil. It's like possessing them with demons, and the only way to, cleanse them is to sacrifice them to their god Pecos. So, in a sense, the cultists are actually the good guys here. They were the ones who were trying, to prevent, well, you'll see what happens, but something bad. They were trying to prevent, these evil, demonic beings from forming. And, Zubak, for that reason, is happy that Pierre escaped because, he wants her to. She is one of his test subjects, and he thinks she has great potential. So, yeah. So, after Zubak, explains this, Zubak says, "So you'll probably want to escape, so be my guest. Try." And this door opens. And that's all. You can't attack Zubak directly. There's a force field protecting him. So pretty much all she can do is go on to the next room. And in the next room, we have some more figs. And over here, this is a ledge, a few feet above Pierre. There's just figs milling around. And up here on the ledge, there are these little, metal posts. And, her necklace can actually, be used as, a whip, and can, it can extend itself and reach up and grab onto the posts. And Also, when she walks into this room, her necklace is hungry for the figs. Like, it wants to eat them. Now, upon hearing this, some players have immediately said, okay, I'll feed the figs to the necklace. In which case, the necklace lashes out and, like, completely, like, obliterates the fig. It just, like, kills it. And when it does that, it gains strength. And when it gains strength, it's able to reach longer. Now, that's not necessary in this room. You don't have to do that to reach the next ledge. Some people do it anyway. Like, they're just, like, really quick to just, like, you know, dive right in. Other people, like, hesitate. But there was, like, it was funny because, like, one guy who's, like, at first, he's like, I don't want to hurt anything. I like, these poor creatures, I don't want to hurt them. But then he, like, well, like, I guess he just got curious. And he was one of the ones who, in this first screen, he was like, I'm not gonna hurt them. Okay, fine, I'll kill them. And, like, immediately, like, killed them. Anyway, either way, like, you grapple up onto here, you go through the door, then that leads to, there's, like, here's a catwalk, there's some more figs, so, you know, yay, more fig fun. There's a few different ways you can go here. If you go to the left, there's this here room that has, like, okay, I was really too lazy to draw it. But, like, the floor over here is supposed to all be lava. I really should have drawn it, like, you know, in Fried Calamari, I did really nice lava with, like, oil pastels. But, like, this game, I was just like, oh, I do not want to do more of that, so I just left it white. Over here we have figs, you know, kind of just on an island, like a few feet above the lava, just like milling around. We do not deserve to live. And like these guys, and like Pierre's over here on this platform, which is safe. Over here, there's like a platform with buttons on it. Over here, that's just like a platform that's just like hovering in midair above the lava. There's nothing Pierre can do like immediately, so go back to this here screen. If you go to the right, this is an 8-ball. 8-balls are one of the most deadly creatures in paper computer games. They originate from Keith's first PCG, his Back to the Future, and they are lightning fast. Their fur is all spikes, so if you touch it, like, it's so sharp that it will just obliterate you. It'll slice you open. There's, like, and he's standing on a button. He won't kill you unless you get, like, if you start getting over here, he'll just, like, you're dead, you know? Like, there's a few ways to deal with this, but, you know, one of the best ways was to just, you know, kind of lure him out here and, like, lure him off the bridge. He falls down. Using a fig, of course. But there's another way, you know, using like the necklace as well, because the necklace is also super fast. But in any event, if you can get him off the button, that changes stuff in this room, such that it allows this platform to move back and forth. So now it's possible for the figs to walk onto this platform, and you know, they can jump off over here. But Pierre has to, like, convince them to, which is annoying because it's like, hey figs, could you help me, like, you know, help me out, get on those buttons? They're like, oh, we do not deserve success. Oh, we do not deserve to have friends or to help people. So, you know, you have to kind of turn their own logic against them. It's like, well, you don't deserve to disobey me. You don't deserve to have freedom. And they're like, oh, that's true. So, anyway. So once you do all that, we come to the second. No, sorry. This, like, in this catwalk area, if you go forward, you come to this second level test. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, here, these are some light fixtures. Um, and if you can get them apart, like if you can take them off, like the light continues shining, like even when it comes down. And when you have it, if you shine it like that is one of the weaknesses of the 8-ball. If you shine light in its eyes, it's paralyzed. So that was one way to deal with the 8-ball. Like use the light and like kind of like lure it like that. I forgot about that. Sorry. This is a platform in the ground. So when you convince the figs in the other room to step onto their 3 pedestals, you like this platform kind of raises, but only like 5 feet into the air, and you're still not high enough. So like here's where it starts to get tempting because to kill figs, because like if you didn't figure out how to activate this platform, like you can still grapple, like your necklace can still reach this and grapple onto it if you kill the fig. Like that'll just solve your problem for you right there. You don't have to deal with the 8-ball. You don't have to deal with the 3, the fig, getting the figs onto the platform. And but you can just get get the figs on, and if you like once the thing rises up, then you'll be able to grapple up here without killing anything. So that brings us to the next area, which is a crossroads. Over here, we, obviously more figs, and if you go to the, like, oh, this is kind of like a carving into the wall, just a carving of Dinkus, just because it's cool. If you go to the right over here, there's this room. There's 3 doors. You have to guess the right one, and it's like, if you guess the wrong door, it's a fig. And here's what happens, like right as she starts to pick a door, like you hear Zubak's voice over the speaker. He says, "Wait a second." He reveals one of the doors that has one of the other doors that has a fig behind it, and like the premise is that 2 out of these 3 doors have figs behind them, and the other one has something you want. So which one do you use, or do you open? He shows you one of the doors. Like let's say Pierre was going to choose this one. Zubak says, "Wait a second." He shows you this door, and it has a fig behind it. And do you keep your choice the same and stick with this door, or do you switch to this door? And this is actually a real statistical thing. People think that it doesn't matter, so it's still just random, so you should just stick with your choice. But that's actually not true. Like, because Zubak showed you the door with a fig behind it, that actually makes it more likely that the other door has what you want behind it. It's weird how that works out, but that is a real statistical thing. Anyway, if you go over here, there's another room, the same thing, 3 more doors. Obviously I didn't put like any effort at all into this screen, so it's just like three doors. If you go back to this room and go to the left, again, 3 more doors. And so the purpose of that was just to get the statistical effect, because I had mapped out where the buttons are behind each of these doors in each of these rooms, but for this to work statistically, I needed like 3 sets of rooms. By the way, this passageway. Oh yeah, I said that already. I needed 3 sets of rooms in order to so that on average it would be right. Like that doing that would get you the buttons, and that tended to work. So if you go back to here, this leads you to, there's one final ledge. Now this one is really high, and this time there's no way out. The only way to get up there is to kill the figs. And, like, otherwise there's just, like, oh, and, there aren't any posts here, by the way. The only way to get the posts is to you know, get the buttons behind all three, you know, doors in the other room. And, like, then, like, 2 posts pop up right here, and you have to grapple up onto them. You need to kill a certain number of figs for the necklace to be long enough to grapple up here. Once you get in there, like, you get through that door, and, like, there's 3 slots in the ground, and over here is a door. There's, like, 3 keyholes in it, and in the door is a window, and if you look closely at the window, you can see there's, like, a road, and over there is the crashed UFO, the crashed, flying saucer that, you know, Pierre and Ari crashed down onto this planet in, and you can kind of see, like, you know, Colette is still there, milling around the ship, like, oh, I'm so close to getting back to my friends, like, you know, if I can just get past this one last puzzle. And, like, so, like, in this puzzle, basically cardboard cutouts come up, and it's like, and then the challenge is to slash them with slash the correct ones with your necklace. And it's like, like, at first it's like, you know, it's a cardboard cutout of Zuvak, and she, you know, of course she slashes that one quickly. But then it's like, it's a fig, slashes that one, and then it's Ari, and then she, like, slashes that one too. And when she does, she gets keys, and then so she can escape, but as soon as she gets the keys, she realizes she doesn't want to escape anymore. She kind of likes this, and, you know, she just feels really good and, like, pets her necklace, and then her muscles, like, start to ripple and bulge. Her body starts to change, and that, my friends, is the end. That is the end of Descent, if I could find that cover screen. Yeah, so, that, like I said, that was a pretty dark game. And it really, like, watching people play through this game really reveals their character. Like, well, I mean, that's really not a fair thing to say, because again, just because someone was willing to kill people in this silly paper game doesn't, you know, paper computer game, doesn't mean that they'd, you know, be willing to kill people, you know, do the same thing in real life. But, you know, like, I think people do sort of have sort of a social instinct to, you know, even in a game, to not kill other people. And it's interesting to see, you know, what makes them give that up and be willing to kill innocent people or innocent, you know, creatures. I should have made this game go longer and see if I could get them to kill, like, actual people who aren't, like, figs, you know, but, yeah. In any event, so this story will continue into Balzac Lobotron. That game is where, like, Ari's storyline will come together with Pierre's storyline. The Mole Men games will be involved there. Like, just all, like, the Ginkis from The Last of the Zerelta will be there. All my favorite computer game storylines just come back together into Balzac Lobotron. So, yeah. So, that, my friends, is Descent. Thanks for watching. And, yeah, have a nice day.